All right. Hey, would you mind holding on a second while I get some tea?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, just take a second. And,
all right.
Listeners will time travel. You wear that.
Shit. I don't know why that makes me laugh every time.
It's so loud. Sorry, guys. We're just laughing because we get this female voice screaming in our head. This meeting's being recorded.
Came out of nowhere. Like
never used to have that.
Who put that on there?
Yeah, I wish we could take that off. God.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you want to share some?
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that we've had so many speeches and things with Joe Biden lately, and I just kind of think that the man is acting a little bit odd. Okay, so he had a press conference yesterday, and he was talking about the whole bipartisan bill that they have that's going through. It's a little bit complicated what he's talking about, but he started doing some things that I thought were kind of interesting, and I hadn't seen this before. I'll just play. It was during the press conference. It was actually during the question and answer period. Now, I have to give credit to Joe Biden. I've actually never seen him take this many questions from the press, just boom, boom. And I thought that was good. I'm glad that he's starting to do that because he never does that. And but there were some oddities. So let me play this for you.
I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far.
Dude, that ain't real.
Getting checks in the mail that are consequential.
That's not real.
Yeah, I saw it.
On the environment. Pay them more. This is an employees bargaining chip now.
That ain't real.
What's happening?
Yeah, it's real, all right. And he did that 3 times during the speech. I watched the speech yesterday. He did it 3 times during the speech. I mean, during the question and answer period. It wasn't during the speech. And they asked him these questions, and he suddenly, I guess for a dramatic effect, he whispered it into the microphone. But boy, it sure did come off as odd.
Sure looked fake.
I mean, so much odd that you can't even believe that was real. That's the funniest part. Yeah. But I know you don't believe it, but I saw it live when it was happening. So that is what happened. And he's been doing that more and more lately, where he whispers something into the microphone to really make an effect. But you know, he was.
When was that?
This was yesterday.
Then why is that not in the news, like the Daily Mail? Big news.
It's out there. You could find it pretty easily. I mean, I found that was under just a little montage of the speech. But like I said, I was watching it live yesterday, and that I found it odd when somebody put it all together. So I thought I'd play it for you. You know, he had another speech earlier this week about violence, crime across the country. I mentioned some of the content earlier, but it seemed as though he was asleep. A lot of the words I couldn't understand what he was saying. He was slurring a lot of the words. He was speaking in an unbelievably monotone voice. He seemed like he might have taken a sleeping pill beforehand. It was really strange. And then when you go back to the G7 conference that we just had, he was seeming befuddled there as well. There were several points that seemed very strange, but one of them was at a point where the Prime Minister of England was introducing the people around the table. He had just introduced the president of South Africa, and then Joe Biden pipes in and says, "And don't forget the president of South Africa." And the Boris turns to Biden and says, "Yes, thank you. I just did that." And he goes, "Oh, I didn't hear you." And he goes, "Yeah, no." And he's kind of holding them back a little bit. And meanwhile, all the other presidents are laughing, seemingly at Biden. At the very same time, somebody comes into the view of the camera and says, "All right, time to leave," and pushes the cameraman out of there. we're seeing this kind of thing a lot when Joe Biden has sort of his moment. It seems like his handlers come out and chase the cameras away immediately.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is a good thing, especially, he met with Putin last week as well. Didn't get anything out of it. Putin did. He got that pipeline. I just wonder, he seems to think that he's doing very well. And the approval ratings for Joe Biden are pretty darn good. So I just wonder how that could be.
Mainstream media. Yeah, that's mainstream media. While it's taking dips, it's not dipping fast enough because it's mind control.
It seems like it.
It's just so wrong. Everything about it.
It is very interesting how when I saw these speeches myself and I thought, holy moly, what's happening here? But then when I saw the debrief from MSNBC and CNN, you would have thought that the greatest diplomat in world history had just spoken. Right. And I just think, how much longer can we? I mean, let's just look at it. I mean, even the look on his face looks a bit befuddled. What are you pulling up here now?
This is part of his creepy voice thing, but can you hear that?
Okay, not getting the volume on this now. You got to click that little button before when you share it. There's a button on the left hand that says share sound.
Oh, I see. Hey, look at that. All right, I hope it's not too loud.
Yeah.
But this oh crap. I think I screwed that up. New share. Let's try that share sound. Let's go to this and oh my God. Please install the Zoom audio device. Restart the no, I'm not going to get this out.
Yeah, too bad.
Yeah, so this not in this one though. But this headline is Biden tells small businesses to increase wage bill.
Well, that was the part at the end that he was whispering where he was like, give them a raise. So Barry, this is important, what we're talking about here. Biden was addressing the inflation that's happened under his administration. Of course, inflation is going to happen under his administration. I mean, he was just bragging about the $1.9 trillion stimulus package that he passed. There were other huge amounts of dollars that have been spent in the 150 days or so that he's been here. It's been quite incredible. It has affected every way of life that we have. Gasoline prices impact almost all of us, which actually have a multiplicative impact on our groceries because of shipping. And so we're seeing prices going up pretty dramatically all around. So in him addressing the inflation, he said, number one, that the experts are saying that, yes, inflation is happening. And the experts are saying that it's going to tick up, but it's going to dramatically go down very quickly. But he didn't give any kind of, reason or valid reason why that would be. He just said that.
How could it possibly be?
Secondly, he said that, people are complaining that there's all these jobs that are out there and nobody's going back to work. Right. And he goes that he actually said that was part of his plan. And then he got close to the mic and he said he was speaking to the business owners and saying that if you're upset that nobody's coming back to work, pay them more money.
That's what that
pay them more money. That's what he was whispering. So it wasn't just that he was saying it. It was almost like the whispering part that, I don't know if I'm a business leader who's been terribly hurt by the impact of the COVID shutdowns. I'm looking at my operating margins and they're negative 530%. And here's Joe, the president and the leader of the free world, whispering in a very condescending way that I'm supposed to actually give more money that I don't have. How does that even make any sense whatsoever? This sounds like a president that's 100% out of touch with reality, doesn't actually understand how business works.
I don't understand economics whatsoever. It's like that one lady running for governor of New York wanted people to stop prosecuting shoplifters again because they think that in renters.
Cynthia Nixon.
yeah, is supposed to take the hit on people not paying rent because they think that business owners are rich. That's it. Just a flat blanket statement of thought.
Yeah. They just have this money that they just want to, pay them more because you're rich and you should pay. This is not how business operates.
Right.
In fact, when the government starts to control wages, well, that's exactly what that's what the Nazis were doing. That's what fascism is. I'm not saying they're Nazis, but fascism is a real thing, and you're admitting that you're manipulating business this way. That's not right, and that puts a lot of business out of business, and it puts people out of a job. The very people that he's constantly saying that he's trying to help, the black and brown people, the lower income people, those are the people that'll lose their jobs first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because most business owners, small business owners, are middle class, even lower middle class. The gap between the very wealthy and middle class has just gotten astronomically huge. You can't lump a small business owner in with them.
It's a good point. It's a really good point that you're
always trying to get more and more out of the small business person.
This is an interesting thing that you're saying, because the perception is that business owners are like the monopoly guy.
Right.
And that's just, but you're right, is that most business that happens here in this country is small business. Yeah. And small business owners are just like you and me. Mm-hmm. And we're the ones that get hit by this. Oh, Joe Biden also talked about this infrastructure plan yesterday that, of course, people making $400,000 or less are not going to be impacted by the taxes, but those who do make $400,000 or more will get impacted by the taxes. So it's interesting to note that anytime politicians talk like this, it doesn't actually work out the way that they're saying.
Never, no.
But you can also, even if that were true, that the people below 400 aren't going to see higher taxes, they will see a higher cost of living as a result of the higher taxes going on to the 400,000 plus. Remember that that also includes many small businesses, because small businesses aren't always set up as an individual business, or sometimes tied to people's personal finances as well. We got a lot of things to think about here. And it doesn't seem like there's anybody that's keeping their eye on the ball in Washington.
No, I totally agree with you. Let's see. I had something else in my notes I wanted to tell you about. Where did it go? I lost my notes.
You're sharing your screen.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, it was the transgender thing, I do think. Oh, no, there's this additional one. This is just a little bit of a something to make you angry. Silverton, Colorado mayor sparks outcry by banning the Pledge of Allegiance. They defied him and stood up and recited it. You didn't hear about that one?
I love it. I love that. That is awesome.
It got some bullet points here. Mayor Shane Furman, and I watched the video too, announced the ban at a Board of Trustees meeting last week. He said the move of banning the pledge was in response to, quote, direct and indirect threats and inappropriate comments in and out of public meetings. He did not elaborate on the nature or threats of those or comments. Attendees reacted to the announcement by standing up and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance before Furman threatened to kick them out. Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert showed the video and incident on Twitter and called it an anti-American disgrace. I got a link to that too.
Wow.
If you wanted to see it. But man, that's another one of those instances of power corrupting. And I've seen it here repeatedly. At a local government level, you got somebody that formerly has been a very nice person, say on city council or something, then they get elected mayor and all of a sudden they're a different person and they're, all of a sudden acting like this guy. And man, you got to get rid of those people. I don't know who it said it or where it's said, but it is said that we in America, it is our duty to always to remind government officials that they are working for us.
Yes.
Yeah, not, that they are not ruling over us. We are ruling over them.
Somebody should tell Eric Swalwell that, who threatened us with nukes this week.
Yeah, agreed. But you see it on a local level. You see it on a
all
national
around. Yeah, you're right though, Barry. Is that in fact, I think more people here that are just common citizens that aren't, politicians and everything need to really get that message themselves. They need to understand that before they can say that, they need to understand that that's absolutely the truth. And of course, people that are in power don't want you to absolutely know that. So it's important. It's really important to get this stuff out of there. Hey, I had a couple of things here. We had some court cases that have been settled here recently. One of them here in California, where there was a legal settlement. California forced to stop discriminating against churches, and they must pay their legal fees.
Wow.
So this is a permanent injunction that happened here in California, which means this. Actually, 2 churches here in California sued the state government because of the lockdowns that just were lifted for the church just about a month ago because of this court case. And now churches can meet. The permanent injunction here in California means that the state of California can never shut down churches the way that they did before, that the restrictions on churches cannot be more severe than restrictions on retail. That sounds fair to me, because the churches were deemed non-essential, and therefore people couldn't go to church. Now, there's studies that have come out, Barry, since the beginning of COVID that show that are talking about mental health and how mental health has declined for the general population, except for people who maintain contact with their church or their spiritual, whatever, their higher power, however it is. Those people seem to escape the mental damage. And not only that, those people seem to actually do better through the pandemic. So here's the state shutting that down. That can never happen again. Sets a legal precedent. That's how courts work, is that legal precedents get set by court cases like this. Sets a legal precedent for the rest of the country. 2 other court cases went to the Supreme Court. Another one regarding the church in Philadelphia. The Catholic Church was eliminated from the adoption services that they were doing in Philadelphia. They got shut down because of what they were saying was discrimination. The church was not willing to adopt children to same-sex marriages, and therefore Philadelphia shut down the Catholic adoption agency. Well, the Supreme Court stood by the church and said that you cannot discriminate based on religion, that's part of their religious doctrine. So another protection from the church. It was a unanimous decision by the court, which is interesting when you take a look at the dynamics of the court being something like 6-3, so-called conservatives versus liberals, but they're all on the same page on this. And another one they were all on the same page was the Obamacare challenge. Unanimously voted to keep Obamacare going. And the interesting thing about that was the Amy Coney Barrett testimonies that happened, the screening by the Senate, and all of the Democrats were saying that Trump brought her in to destroy Obamacare, and that she was a shoo-in for that. And here she voted to keep Obamacare. So there you have it.
All right. What else we got? I do not have anything else. I didn't even bring anything on the lighter side. I just kind of feel like BSing a bit.
Okay. I did have one other one is the cake maker in California. Remember that court case where he wouldn't actually sell a cake to for a gay wedding? Yeah. So apparently he's back in court, and an activist lawyer, actually, who is gay, she wanted him to make actually it's a trans woman. She wanted him to make a sexual change coming out.
Oh, dude, that was a setup.
Like that. Oh, absolutely, it was a setup, and
Yeah.
and now this is a big court case that's happening, and there's another case that's. I mean, this is all in the news right now. But one thing he says is asking me to draw on my creativity to communicate a message I believe is wrong. That's asking me to stop being me, to change my own relationship with the Lord, to deny the deepest convictions of my heart and pretend I haven't learned the most difficult lessons of my life, or that they don't matter. That's not something any person has the right to ask of another, or command any government has the right to force one of its citizens to obey.
All right, let's put the shoe on the other foot. And I still think this holds up, though. But let's say that there's something of a gay community and somebody has the gay cupcake stand. That's what it's called, gay cupcake stand.
Mm-hmm.
And they will not sell to, or wait a minute, let's make it more inflammatory. What if it was a black cupcake stand and would only sell, this kind of happened. And let's say that black people got 50% discount and but white people didn't. Do they have a right to does that business owner have a right to do that?
I personally think that that's discrimination.
Well, then that guy that won't bake a cake for a gay couple is discrimination.
Yes. However, religious freedom is protected under the First Amendment.
Oh, that's so hypocritical, though. It's still hypocritical.
It's
the same thing.
Racism is
it's still discrimination.
I understand your point. However, if let's put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say, for instance, a customer wanted you to create the Communist Manifesto or something that you completely detest, and you say, I can't do that. It's against all of my values. And they took you to court and said, nope, we're forcing you to do this. I think that's really what this is right here. But I totally get what you're saying. There's a fine line there for sure.
I think it's another slippery slope, and life is full of them, you know? And it comes back to free speech and how easily that gets manipulated, and soon we can find our way right out of it. You know,
I think it's pretty interesting what you're bringing up here, because I mean, we have a situation here with the vaccination and the masks and everything. And what we're going to start seeing is denial of service because of either vaccination or non-vaccination. And I think that's going to line up as is that discrimination, or is that something protected by the law? And like you said, this is a slippery slope right here.
I don't have a clear answer on that.
I don't either. I don't have a good answer. I know one thing is discrimination bad. And I tend to want to err on the side of, no, we got to protect against that. And at the same time, is there a time and place where you have to say, well, I can't do this because of my values? And can bigotry be a value? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
What is the definition of bigotry when it comes to this? These are things that you get worked out in the court system, but I don't have a black or white answer on that.
Yeah, black or white. I know.
No pun intended.
Right. A little off topic. I was just thinking about, so yesterday afternoon I had that call, end of the day with Susan and the client.
Yeah.
We worked that out, and I was like, yay. I mean, it's so good. Just a good guy, a good company, and with Susan and everything, we got another fun project like that. And so I went on a little bike ride and found my way to Lounge Leo.
Oh yeah, your place now.
ZZ and his brother were there. And I like talking with those guys, but I forget, man. I gotta watch what I say. They're so far left.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
Started talking about it. Oh, I'm so glad I don't have to wear this mask anymore. I'm so sick of these masks. And you can't take that too far, because then it was like, well, there's a time and place for these masks. And if I'm doing this and going here, and I was like, okay, I forget, but I did tweak them, and I felt like I had to virtue signal just to keep things on the rails. I forget exactly what it was.
That's funny. I better pull my virtue signal out.
Yeah, you
That's hilarious.
In Little Italy that would be a thing.
No, that's a really good point. No,
Yeah.
you wouldn't think that. Not at all.
My problem is I got comfortable. I'm just BSing, and and I'm comfortable.
You put your guard down. Yep.
I brought my guard down. Isn't that a shame? As we talk about free speech, the subject needs to permeate every damn thing that we talk about. I mean, it's almost impossible not to, because it's always under attack. The rights are really under attack at all times now.
At all times. And the thing is, it seems like a lot of people don't realize that that's what's happening as it's happening. And that's the trick. So yeah.
There was a note that I had in my notes regarding that podcast with Andrew Doyle on Jordan Peterson's podcast, that he brought up, Andrew Doyle brought up about the neo-racism that is going on, that was exemplified by a Brentwood school in California. They were segregating parents for parent-teacher conferences.
Segregating parents?
Yeah. So we can meet with white people and give them a snow job, and then we can meet with black people and tell them how we're doing critical race theory and all of this stuff.
Oh, God.
So this is what it's coming to. It's gotten absolutely ridiculous. Back to what you said is when the people calling everybody racist are the ones that are actually doing the race.
Yeah, this whole critical race theory thing is really ugly. A couple of things have come out here over the last couple of weeks regarding that. One is that the attack against people that are trying to eliminate critical race theory now.
Oh, the racist.
Is that, wait a second, people attacking critical race theory aren't qualified. Now, have they read the leaders that have come up with critical race theory? Have they gone to college? Have they studied the classes? No, they have not done this. So
not indoctrinated.
They don't know what they're talking about. So that's one way they're discrediting people out there on the critical race theory thing. Another thing is to say that they just deny that they're teaching critical race theory.
Yes.
No, we're not teaching critical race theory. So they want to call it something different. And then the last one is that if we can't teach critical race theory, then we can't educate our students about slavery and the plight of Black people. And that's just a racist thing to try to eliminate our history from the books, which nothing of the sort is happening here. Right. But these are the attacks against the people who are trying to save their children, really, from these schools. But it's not, as we've mentioned, it's not just happening in schools. It's happening in corporations. It's happening in our government. It's happening in our military. It's happening all around us, this indoctrination. And they're just saying that they're just not doing it. But we're seeing that they are. Did you see the videos of what happened at a school system in Virginia this week, Barry?
Sounds familiar, but what?
Oh my gosh. So here's what happened is, I'm trying to remember the name of the city in Virginia, but Lawton, something like that. Anyway.
Yes. Laudenville, I believe.
Laudenville,
yes,
that's
I've
it.
I've seen those videos.
Oh my gosh. So here they had it where the parents could come down and speak their mind, which they did.
Yes, they did. I watched a lot of that.
It was great. Boy, these parents have come armed with great information about our history and how things are supposed to work, and they're speaking it very succinctly. Of course, they're very passionate about it because it's their kids, for God's sakes. And what happened in this particular meeting was that the school board didn't like what they were saying. They shut down the meeting, said that it was an illegal gathering, brought the police in, and at least one person was arrested. There was like a brawl that happened there and everything. But this is it, is that back to free speech. We can't reason with each other anymore. We can't, because one side, it seems like it's always the same side, which, by the way, I know that it's not always the same.
Not always, no.
But it seems like it lately.
The same kind of trickery gets adopted by extremists.
It does. It's like the same kind of cancel culture thing. Is I don't like what they're saying, so we're just going to shut this down. And anybody that's speaking their mind, we're going to have arrested. And that's what they did. And that is crazy.
That sounds so third world. It sounds like stuff that we read in history, about what happened 200 years ago and stuff.
Absolutely, man. But we are living in a time.
When I was working this weekend, well, I guess you didn't know. Last weekend, I was working with my brother again on the patio, putting in the planters, which I had a great time. I always have such a good time with him doing that. We go out for beers. We're waiting for something. So we went to a local bar restaurant and got an appetizer and a couple of beers. And we just started on this great conversation about how we're looking for places, possible retirement communities and stuff. And this took place on the entire ride back. And now we're back working on the planters again. And he's talking about how he went to the local fair in Leroy last weekend. And he starts saying these white people. And oh man, when I hear a white person say white people, it
like
makes
that
my stomach sink. It really does. And
mine too, Barry.
And so he starts talking about, we're looking to get out of here. There's not enough diversity, and these white people that think this stuff. And I'm just, oh my God. Okay. So, and then a year ago, my mother went to a Black Lives Matters rally in Painesville, and she says there were no black people there. And it's like, I just want to tell, they're just fed into the mainstream media. And I want to say, this is white guilt talking. You know what I mean? So they're virtue signaling because they have all this white guilt that they are being fed. And because I told my brother.
That is what it's all about. I agree.
It is, because it came up because I told my brother that I'm looking for a place as we get older, Lisa and I get older, that we are feeling safer, because they don't understand. The Heights, like many places like this, have gotten very violent. And I mean gun violence. Has increased dramatically. I'm reading about everywhere, every day.
Yes.
2 streets away from me and stuff. So
yeah, same.
So I say this to my brother, who doesn't understand where I live and what it's like. He lives out in white people suburbia, right? And they always have. And he's like, and I said, Nashville. I love the thought of Nashville so much. He's like, oh my God, I couldn't go. That's how it came about. Well, it's like, Leroy, all those white people at that fair. And I'm like, man, there's not just 2 extremes here. Nashville too, I was surprised was not a country bumpkin place at all.
Not at all.
Cosmopolitan,
no. Exactly.
Moderate, normal.
It's a big city, yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same about Florida. It's not Sarasota is not a redneck place.
No, not at all.
It's just chill is all how I describe that. Different from Nashville. Nashville I describe as just cosmopolitan.
Right.
Smart, down to earth people. It is not diverse. There's certainly diversity there.
Absolutely.
But there's just smarter people, normal. Politics doesn't seem to be on everyone's mind at all there. It's it feels comfortable.
Yeah.
But it's my point is people that see the extremes, these people that are actually living. Remember the story I told you about as soon as the Black Lives Matter stuff comes out, those people in white flight community of Bay Village go and
remember we watched that video? Yeah.
I mean, that's just
they found one black guy. They're all trying to put their arm
and they
around
put him in the front. They put him in the front. It's just, we got a virtue signal before they come and
we're all friends with John.
It's like, come on, man. We just need to find what I'm looking for is a happy medium. I love the diversity of the Heights. I always did, but because of the social stuff taking place, it's now violent. It's violent.
You know, it's interesting, Barry. I saw a video last night of this poor little girl that was standing at a podium. I guess it was a school board meeting, and she was talking about how this whole white fragility teaching, she was white, this had really had impacted her, and that she actually was in the foster parent circuit. Her real parents were drug addicts and abusive, and she didn't have any place to live, and now she's in the foster care program. But she was saying that here, these lessons that they're teaching her are showing that she's privileged, and she's bad. And she's like, how could I be privileged? All these things have happened to me, and you're trying to make me out to be somebody that I'm not. And it was really sad. But, you know, I thought about that a lot. And
there's another side to it.
The fact of the matter is that she is privileged. We're all privileged. Well, this is the problem, Barry. We live in this country. You mentioned it yourself. This is the only country where you can have free speech. This is the only country where somebody like my father can be born into poverty and in extreme poverty, where when snow comes down, snow comes into your house. And here, this guy, sure.
The American dream was available.
He wasn't allowed to go to school for 2 years until Brown versus Board of Education. Okay, that was bad, but that didn't hold him back. He ended up being a vice president of a Fortune 500 company. He was the only black vice president at that company at the time, but he blazed a trail for other people to follow, and he was able to do that. There's no other country where you can start at the bottom rung and move up to the top rung. So I'm just saying that this is why all those people are coming across the border to come here, because they know that this is the only place you can come and utilize your God-given talents and make something of yourself. And so anyway,
I want to say though that there is another side to this. We typically talk about this, frown on the white privilege thing, of course, and discrimination and all that. But, you know, I had I had a really fun happy hour with Irby last week. We went to Bourbon Street Barrel Room in Tremont, which has one of the best happy hours in all of Cleveland.
I like Tremont.
Yeah. It was fun because it was a pretty crappy night. So, you know, we're not going to go down to East 55th. In fact, we're going to bypass happy hour, but we had talked about someday making it out there, and it was the perfect day for it. But I don't remember what the conversation was about, how it came up, but I love talking to Irby one-on-one because I get so much insight. He's always had one foot in a really bad neighborhood of Cleveland and one foot on the other side because of his parents sent him to a good school in the area, but boy, he grew up in a tough neighborhood. And he told me about how when he was in, I don't know if it was high school, elementary school, it sounded middle schoolish, but he said that for whatever reason, however this worked, he said all these kids from like Geauga County in white man's suburbia came in, and now we're all put together. And there was definitely a feeling of superiority by these white kids. And it was like, wow, that was eye-opening to me. So think from his perspective, he's in a ghetto. I'm just being serious. He's in a ghetto in school, and for whatever reason, all these white kids are put in there with them, and they feel looked down upon. And
I understand that.
Yeah. And so if that's the way you were raised, and that's what you saw, and somebody starts talking about systemic racism and white privilege, I now have a much better understanding and empathy.
I totally get that too. And going back to the story of my father, he grew up in West Virginia, and they were the only black family down there. So he had the exact same kinds of pressures happening where they were superior to him but they weren't. You know what I mean? Like they could believe that. But the fact is that and there were systemic things that were against them.
Absolutely.
But the bottom line is they weren't superior to him, and that the laws that are inside of our Constitution, inside the Declaration of Independence, they applied to him. He knew that he wasn't the guy that they were saying that they were superior to, and nothing held him back. And that's what I'm saying, is that if the country were really a country that were like every other country, not only would those people believe it, but there would be no way for him to advance himself. And that's where I'm trying to say, is that while we're always going to have this fight between haters and non-haters and good and bad, the system itself, while not perfect, gives people a chance to succeed no matter what color they are. That's why they're coming here. And that's why I'm saying is that we're all privileged just to be here. I don't see, I hate that privilege is being used as a weapon against a certain race.
Agreed.
I think that's just wrong.
I'm just being
I totally get what you're saying,
because it can be demoralizing.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
A great percentage of people, and that does. But
I'm not trying to discount that, because I've run into that myself.
And we are in agreement too. If we change the conversation to, we understand that you feel that you are being looked down upon, but you have every chance available to you. Most people are actually rooting for you.
And I would also say this, that because of human nature, there's no way to eliminate that. People are going to look down on you, or going to try to act superior. Right. That's part of the fallen world. We can't change that. The fact is that I'm trying to say is that when it comes to the truth of, do we have privilege or not, I'm telling you that I don't see where one person is more privileged than another person. I see where people can believe that, but I just don't.
That was my point. And it can be very demoralizing, especially if you come up from a family that is telling you that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that in my family, growing up, that my father had a lot of things that he had to overcome as a result of growing up in that situation, and really tried to tell me how to think about that kind of thing. And but meanwhile, he was bitter about what happened to him. And I remember thinking, I really can't think the way that you're thinking. Because
he blazed the path for you. He did exactly. And so I didn't have to think the way that he did, to your point. And so I was free from that. But that did cause conflict between my father and I. I think from his point of view, he was happy that he was able to do that for me. But at the same time, sometimes you'll never know how hard it was.
I couldn't see it his way. He would be angry with me about that.
I understand.
So, I mean, I get it. I can't.
That's why we celebrate
that, but I can sympathize with that.
That's why we celebrate him still to this day. Is because he blazed his way.
He really did.
We do understand.
Yeah.
With that, we should part.
We should wrap it up. Yeah, that was good.
I like that conversation at the end.
Me too. Good stuff, Barry. Today you brought it, man. Once again.
Thanks, dude. You did too. I like the stuff about Spoke a whole bunch. I think it's very inspiring for all of us, and bring more of it.
Yeah, right on.
Like as you're going through your week, it's like, now this isn't like you just did. This is an experience I need to share because we did this so right.
And I can tell you that as business is picking up, because it just hasn't been a whole lot to talk about.
Right.
As business is picking up, which is happening, we'll have more stories.
I can't wait to talk to you again. Man, have a good weekend.
Barry. You too, brother. Love you too, man.